Are you guys ready to do some urbexing, to explore some abandoned buildings? I'm here in Tskaltubo, a former resort town located in the country of Georgia. Once one of the most popular resort towns in the Soviet Union, Tskaltubo fell into decay after the collapse of the USSR. And sometimes I'm asking myself, why am I such a chaser for adrenaline? How do I always find myself in these places? Amid stunning nature, grand sanatoriums and resorts now stand abandoned. One visitor in particular was especially fond of Tskaltubo, Joseph Stalin. So my special goal is to find the ballroom where he used to dance. But to get there, I'll have to sneak past security guards and guard dogs. My heart rate is so fast. But Tskaltubo's story isn't only about a glamorous spa town. It's also tied to Georgia's civil war and the hundreds of thousands who lost their homes. Up there, I think this is where people still live nowadays, while their home is literally crumbling to pieces. Join me to explore the abandoned town of Tskaltubo. Here I'm standing in front of bathhouse number 6, and as you can see, this one is still in use. This is one of the very few buildings from Soviet times that is still in use nowadays. So if you want to have this bathhouse experience, you can come here and try it out. And the very special thing about this bathhouse is that Stalin had his own private bathhouse, bathroom in here. So even up here in the middle we can see we have Stalin up there. And I'd say let's go inside and ask if we can see his bathhouse. Staff told me I cannot see Stalin's bath. That's why I'm gonna try to find a window I can peek into. So here we can get a little glimpse inside. That is, according to the owner of this bathhouse at least, where Stalin used to take his baths during the Soviet Union. And it also makes sense that Stalin was so fond of Tskaltubo because he was actually Georgian. He was born in Gori. We've ticked off the last remaining working bathhouse off our list. Now let's start the real adventure. Let's find some abandoned sanatoriums. Let's go urbexing. And I think we've already found one right next door to the working one. This here is bathhouse number 8. And as you can see, this one is not in use anymore. Let's head in. I also made friends with a bunch of street dogs. So back in the day, all of this around here would have been public baths, with all of the bathtubs down here. So this is probably not a bathhouse where Stalin would have taken his baths, but rather the common people. Like right down here in these bathtubs. That's pretty cool. Up here, this would have been probably a glass dome back in the day. And up here, these would have probably been changing rooms to take off your clothes to head into the bathhouse. I think they would have probably bathed naked back then. I'm not entirely sure about that, but it's my assumption. So let's head back out here. There's lots of more sanatoriums and hotels to see. Let's have a look what's in here. This sanatorium up here actually looks as if it's undergoing construction. There's always news about some of these hotels and sanatoriums being renovated so that they can be used again. Because it's like magnificent buildings. But I feel like now they actually are starting to do something, at least for the sanatorium here. So even though it seems as if there's like some renovation work going on, let's have a look up there. Here we have like a big truck right up here. To understand a little bit more about what happened with Georgia and Tskaltubo after the fall of the Soviet Union, we have to go back in history a little bit. So the Soviet Union fell in 1991. After that, Georgia, as all of the other Soviet countries, declared independence. The problem is, though, that here in Georgia there is a territory close to the Russian border. It's called Abkhazia. And the people there didn't want to be Georgian, they wanted to be independent. Abkhazia is home to distinct people. Before the USSR, the region had periods of autonomy. But under Soviet rule, it became an autonomous republic within the Georgian SSR. After the Soviet Union collapsed, Georgia wanted to keep Abkhazia, while many Abkhazians pushed for independence. A civil war followed, and with Russian support, the Abkhaz side became a de facto independent state. Today, the country of Abkhazia is recognized only by Russia, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Nauru, and Syria. Most countries nowadays, though, view it as Georgian territory occupied by Russia, but that's a whole nother story I don't want to get into right now. The thing is, a lot of ethnically Georgian people in Abkhazia got kicked out. A lot of them, didn't make it out alive. And they were kicked out, they came to Georgia, and most of them were placed in the abandoned sanatoriums and hotels. Because after the Soviet Union fell, all of these sanatoriums were abandoned because sanatorium trips, resort holidays, were financed by the USSR back in the day. But since there wasn't any USSR anymore, nobody financed those trips. Hence, all of these buildings were suddenly abandoned. And as Georgia needed space to put all these displaced refugees from Abkhazia, they just decided to use these abandoned sanatoriums. And that's why for a very, very long time, for like decades, nothing happened with these sanatoriums and they were just left to decay. But right here behind me, we can just see a very good example that now stuff seems to move and they seem to renovate these abandoned sanatoriums. My only question is, where did they place the people that previously occupied these sanatoriums? All the displaced Georgians from Abkhazia. Where did they end up? What happened to them? So there is a guy working around here, but let's see if we can still have a look into the sanatorium. Hello? No? No. Okay. Wow. Yeah, no, the guy said no entering the sanatorium. That's very unfortunate. But luckily, there are dozens of sanatoriums here, so we're gonna find another one. I guess if you wanna come here, you better make sure you have your rabies shot, because there's some proper attack dogs up there. So now let's have a look up to this sanatorium and let's hope that there are no mean dogs there. Oh, there's a cow over there. So maybe they have like guard cows instead of guard dogs here. I'm pretty sure this one used to be occupied by displaced people, but they seem to have been moved. Oh, and now we have like a cow meadow out here with some cows. Oh my God. Okay, I think my dogs are trying to protect me from this cow over there. Come on, leave the cow alone. Good job. Good dog. So let's head in here now. You can see this barricade here. I'm pretty sure this is there because a couple of years ago, all of these rooms back there would have been occupied by all the Georgians that had left their home when they got kicked out of Abkhazia. And the problem is they were placed here in all these sanatoriums, so it was very, very hard for them to integrate with the local communities, because here in Western Georgia, there are not that many job opportunities and hundreds of thousands of people coming here. I think it was a total of around 260,000 Georgians that lost their home in Abkhazia. So all these people coming here to Western Georgia, there were not enough job opportunities for all these people. There's even COVID things up here. Here, there's even election posters up. This wasn't only temporary for people to live in. I mean, in the beginning, it was probably meant as a temporary solution, but it soon turned into a permanent solution because since 1992, people are occupying these abandoned sanatoriums because they just don't have any other option. And I have all my dogs here behind me. Ah, you were having fun up here, right? Good boy. There's a toy car here, so a lot of children would have probably never known a different living situation than this one here. Like growing up in a decaying building. We have some rooms up here and it seems like everyone left. Everyone left this building and people left a lot of their stuff back here. Clothes, shoes. I don't think anyone's left here nowadays. Now we're gonna head up to this building up here. This one actually does look as if it's still occupied nowadays. You can see all these balconies. I'm like really glad about these street dogs that befriended me. I just bought them a few treats before. Now they're going urbexing with me. Down here you can see all of this construction, how they fixed up the walls. You can see all of this improvised balconies with the wood, with the glass. And I think this is because the refugees still live here. That's how they made these abandoned sanatoriums livable. Over here we have some mosaics. So before we head into the sanatorium, let's have a look to these mosaics. Wow, that seems to be like a whole garden full of mosaics. I think this used to be a playground with like some slides. Because the sanatorium we just saw used to be for mothers and their children. Hey! Hey! This must have been a really fun place for children back then. While the parents relax in the sanatoriums, the children could play out here. Let's hope there's no guard dogs in this one. But I'm gonna send my friends first, so they're gonna check it out for me. With these beautiful staircases up here. So let's head up and see what's up here. Here we have some courtyard. Totally overgrown nowadays. There might have been a pool back there, back in the day. Now everything's reclaimed by nature. We have some big function rooms or something right up here. Let's have a look inside here. Wow. This might have been some sort of ballroom back in the day. And it's probably only a matter of time until all of these sanatoriums will fall apart. Maybe this is the reason why the government decided to move all the refugees out. I know that they're still trying to get investors for a lot of these buildings here. I just found this like old photo album with all these photos. And You can see these family photos. My guess is this photo album is from the people that used to live here. This one here is from 1985. Probably taken in Abkhazia. Wow, that is actually really sad to see. All these people kicked out of their homeland. There was some ethnic cleansing there, so a lot of people didn't even make it out of there. The ones that made it out of there and made it into Georgia can count themselves lucky. The upper floors here are completely barricaded and locked off, so up there, I think this is where people still live nowadays. While their home is literally crumbling to pieces. That here is the Sanatorium of Metallurgists. And you can see there are other tourists here though. So this seems to be a popular spot. And also up here you can see all these improvised balconies to make them more suitable for living. So I'd say, let's have a look. Oh my God, they've even set up a souvenir stand in here. Hello.
Hello, English.
English, yes. English? Five. Uh-huh.
Germania.
Germania. I only have this. This is all I have. There's nothing more. So they seem to have made some sort of business out of this sanatorium, which is really smart. I think it's the people occupying it or living here. Look how pretty this is. This is really in excellent condition compared to the other sanatoriums. Beautiful. So we can get up to the 4th floor and there should be a theater somewhere. Yeah, that's a beautiful chandelier up here. And you can see this sanatorium is in really good condition still. Really good. Compared to all of the others. There we have the elevator shafts. There is electricity in a lot of these buildings. And they actually do have all of the wires up here. Yeah, this one here is like really, really impressive. And there are a few other people around here. A few other tourists. Because Tskaltubo became quite a popular place for urbexes. And here we have the old theater. You can still see all the decoration up there on the ceiling. You can still see the colorful stone. And now we've arrived to what was probably the most impressive sanatorium during Soviet times here in Tskaltubo, Sanatorium Medea. So I'd say we're gonna head up there first. These pillars look super impressive. This was one very beautiful bathhouse back in the day. Look at these pillars. And nowadays the whole courtyard is like completely overgrown down here. So the reason why Tskaltubo was chosen to become this popular resort town of Soviet times isn't only because Stalin comes from Georgia and was born in Gori, not that far away from Tskaltubo. No, it's also because of the slightly radioactive water that contains radon. And a lot of doctors during Soviet times actually prescribed their patients to come to a health retreat here to Tskaltubo. Especially also soldiers coming back from the war often traveled here to this very place. And I think in this beautiful nature, you hear all the crickets all around. In this beautiful nature, you could have definitely relaxed after whatever you saw and experienced during war. And look at this, there's actually a little baby around. Hey, baby. Hey. I think it's baby season here. I really wish I could keep some of these dogs, but with my lifestyle, it's just not feasible. I don't have a home. I'm just constantly traveling, constantly on the road. So that is so impressive, like really beautiful with all the pillars. It does seem to fall apart back there, and all the courtyard is reclaimed by nature nowadays. And it's also pretty hot now. It's the middle of the day, so I'd say we're gonna head back to the Airbnb. I'm gonna rest a bit because I have a lot of plans for tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna try to get into the old ballroom where Stalin used to dance. It's a bit more tricky because that place is guarded, though it is very well preserved. 2 years ago I did find a way to get inside, so fingers crossed that we're gonna be lucky tomorrow and can have a look to the ballroom where Stalin used to dance. Welcome to another day in the abandoned Soviet town of Tskaltubo. You can see everything's a bit wet. It cooled down a lot. It rained this morning. That's why we're gonna start this adventure today in the afternoon, because I'm standing right on the other side of a very famous sanatorium. Here behind the trees there's the sanatorium in which Stalin used to dance, and it is guarded nowadays. I think there are some dogs around, and our goal is to find a way in. So I say let's head over and check it out. That's it here, right behind the fence. So we're gonna have a look if we can sneak in somehow. Okay, so we're in. This could be a guard room. Okay. Yeah, upstairs. No. We have to make it upstairs. So there are a lot of dogs around with them barking. Let's try to make our way up. And most importantly, be quiet so we don't alarm the dogs. My heart rate is so fast. Okay, let's head in here. Wow, that's certainly a ballroom, but that is not Stalin's ballroom yet. We have to go one more up. Let's try to get this over as quickly and quietly as possible. I'm so nervous. Guys, that's it. Wow, look at this beauty. Beautiful. And here. I stepped in glass. This is it. Guys, this is the ballroom. This is where Stalin used to dance. Just imagine. Just imagine. Stalin dancing here behind me, in this ballroom. Wow, this is just an incredible feeling. If you sneak past the guards and the dogs. Look at this. Look at the ceiling. Wow, this is incredible. Just imagine this adrenaline rush. Wow, amazing. Okay, there's a dog very nearby. There's a dog very nearby outside. Look at these balconies out there. This must have been beautiful a long time ago. Wow. I think we're good, and honestly, If the guard catches me now, I don't really care. I've seen what I wanted to see. This is why I came here, Stalin's ballroom. Look at these ceilings. This is incredible. This is an incredible architecture, guys. I am so happy that I made it. Wow. So now the next goal is to make it out unseen. Look at these balconies. The nature here is incredible. Guys, I just decided to climb another fence with more like a wall. And now we're in another sanatorium. Let me check the name. Now we're in Sanatorium Iveria. Right here. Wow, this one is heavily fenced. But if you manage to climb a 2-meter fence, you can make it in, because this one does not have guards and obviously no dogs, because they can't go through the fence. I do hear something that slightly sounds like an alarm, so I'm not entirely sure. Because it is heavily fenced, but there's no guards, so let's just be quiet. And look at this. That's pretty cool. It's almost like an optical illusion down here. Obviously they would have had a balcony back in the day. I don't know if this is an alarm. Can you hear that? Or is it a bird? That must have been beautiful. Long time ago. So even if this is an alarm going off, the rain that just started might save us. Let's have a look. So that building here is literally falling apart. Entering this is definitely entirely on your own risk. Yeah, no wonder they fenced this so heavily, because this looks pretty bad. Look at that ceiling, just falling apart. But also it's raining now, and I guess we're kind of trapped in here. And sometimes I'm asking myself, why am I such a chaser for adrenaline? How do I always find myself in these places? So guys, I really want to stretch at this point. I'm not promoting anyone to come here, because this building here is really dodgy. Like, this building here is just a matter of time until it's gonna collapse. It is pretty cool architecture, but there's not much left in here. I'm back out here, and look how beautiful this is. All around here. Gonna lie, the last Sanatorium Iveria, it was dodgy. And it does make sense why they have such a high fence up around there, because I think it's only a matter of time until someone gets seriously hurt in there. Luckily it's not me, I made it out safely. But yeah, as I say, I don't want to advise anyone to do the same shit that I'm doing. And now there's one more place I would like to check out. It's Hotel Aya. And from what I saw, there's a beautifully preserved Soviet mosaic in there. And that's the last challenge for today, trying to find that mosaic. So let's go. So we're almost there. Right here behind the tree, that's the hotel. That is Hotel Aya. And we have some remains of a once beautiful mosaic. And you can definitely see this building here is still occupied. So again, we're gonna be very careful, and we're gonna make sure to not disturb anyone in there and intrude any living spaces. But look at what remains of this mosaic up there. The one I'm looking for should be located somewhere inside though. Oh, in there. That's the mosaic. So that is a very cool mosaic, because it depicts the people making wine, because Georgia is actually where wine originated. They have a lot of wine here. It's very important in the culture. And here we can see how local people harvest the grapes and produce the wine. I'm not an expert in the different steps of making wine. That's why I'm not gonna go into the detail of the wine production. But this is definitely a really cool mosaic, very well preserved. This was a really successful urbexing adventure. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I got chased by dogs, I climbed fences and walls, hid from security guards. So yeah, it really had everything. And we saw some really cool Soviet history. And now it's time for me to head back to my hotel, and I hope to see you again in my next video. Bye bye.